Hello, it's Josh from JG Estate Agents, and this month's area focus comes from the LA2 Zero area, just south of the main city in the beautiful village of Goalgate. Now, Goalgate comes from the term Galwaithegate, which actually means road to Galway, back in the days when it took it all the way up to Scotland. The first place we've come to look at for our historical journey is a graveyard just off Chapel Lane. Now, this is a beautiful graveyard which is no longer actively in use. And there's a couple of interesting listed features which I found in my research for this, and the first you can see just behind me here, which is a 17th century sundial. Now, it has seen a few better days, but if you actually look on top of it you can still see where the original sundial would have been. Just behind it, you may be able to see just in the distance there's also a 17th century style. It looks just like any other style, but it's actually been there all those years and is still usable today, although you do need to be a little bit careful as it's worn away. This site is actually where the old church used to be, back in the 1800s. However, over the years it eventually got demolished and replaced with a church we're about to go and see a bit further up the road, which is St John's. So just down the road from the graveyard, still on Chapel Lane, we have the beautiful St John the Evangelist Church. Now, this was built between 1906 and 1907 by the famous architects from around here, Austin and Paley. Back in those days it was built for £5,000, which in this day's money is around about £530,000. Now, down in the graveyard where we just were, there used to be a church on that site, as I mentioned before, from the 1800s. This then came in and replaced that, and eventually the church down on the other site was demolished. In the church there's space for about 380 people, and it was originally meant to have a spire, but as you can see it didn't get too much further than the tower and never transpired. The church itself has some beautiful architecture and some really nice features if you take the time to have a little look around. It's been kept in a really good state and renovated over the years to ensure it can still be used today. On the same site there's also a beautiful war memorial which is also listed from 1921 from the First World War. Names were also added to this after the Second World War. One of perhaps the most striking historical buildings in Goalgate are the old Galgate silk mills. They can be seen from the motorway and from the main road coming in and out of Galgate. There were two main sites, and this site we can see just here is the west site, which was converted from a water-powered corn mill in 1792. The main building, which is currently being converted into accommodation, was built by John Armstrong in 1852. Back in the day it provided employment for up to 400 local people. The mill itself was open for 178 years before it closed in 1971. Some of the outbuildings are still used today as a cafe and other shops. It's actually the oldest surviving silk mill in all of England. The next place I've come to look at on my historical tour of Galgate is the popular Lancaster Canal. Now, in 1797 the canal was first used, and I'm just stood on the corner of what is known as the Glass and Dock Junction. Now, this was a 2.5 mile extra part of the canal that connected the canal to the sea, and that opened in 1820. As part of this extra branch of the canal, there's also some locks which were there, and they are listed status because they're from 1823 and survived all these years with great maintenance. Let's go and take a little look at them. As you can see just now, there's actually a boat on its way through the lock as we speak. Just over the hill behind me there is Grange Estate. As it's now private property I can't access it today, but I will put a few pictures up. This was built in 1857 through to 1859, and the manor itself was actually bought by William Preston, who was the Mayor of Liverpool. Nowadays it's used as a spiritual centre, but also has a beautiful old derelict church on there which they're currently in the process of trying to renovate. Goalgate has some beautiful historical features. There's lots of things we haven't looked at today, such as the many canal bridges and river bridges which are now of listed status, but probably not too exciting to look at the moment. They make up part of Goalgate's history all the same. I'm sure lots of you got some fantastic stories from the past in and around Galgate, and it'd be lovely to hear some of your stories. If you do have any, please do let us know. We look forward to joining you next month on our next exciting adventure. Thank you, bye bye.